Hello everyone, I'm DarkHorse FM. Welcome to another episode of Testing Football Manager Overpowered Tactics for FM23. This is the first tactic that I've actually tested with over or up to 10 teams, and all 10 teams in this tactic test went on to have good results. We're going to look at all the other teams selected for this tactic, a range of teams from elite teams to underdogs, mid-table sides. They're all testing this one tactic. It's a 4-4-2 defensive midfielder, segundo volante tactic, very attacking, scores loads of goals. We're going to look through all the results and we're going to go through the tactic in detail. And if you're new to the channel, remember to hit the subscribe button so you can get notified when new tactic videos do come out. And also, if you want to recreate the tactic for yourself, so you can follow along with the video step by step. We're going to go through all the player instructions, team instructions. I'll also have a sneak peek if there are any set pieces attached to this tactic. As I mentioned, it's a 4-4-2 or let's say 4-2-4 tactic. And the funny thing is, the tactic uses a balanced mentality. So it's unique as to how many or as to what degree this tactic goes on to score that many goals. But it does, and we're going to look at it in all the results. Looking, the teams that I selected are Rosenberok, they're somewhere in Slovakia or Slovenian league. Mura is probably in Slovakia or Slovenia as well. Those two teams, I don't know exactly which country they are in. I've probably interchanged them. But Southampton are also in that testing league. They're in the Premier League. Wigan Athletic are in the Championship, predicted to finish dead last in the Championship. PSG, of course, are the elite team for this tactic test. And alongside PSG from the French side is Stade Malherbe Cayenne and AS Saint-Etienne. Those are the two French teams. I think the Cayenne and Saint-Etienne are in the lower division of the French league. Athletic Club Bilbao and Villarreal are from Spain alongside Malaga in this test. So without further ado, the tactic. Starting with the goalkeeper, there is a super keeper on defend duty and he has only one instruction: to tackle harder. The back four is consistent, or let's say the back four consists of two wing backs on support duty. Both of them have identical instructions in stay wider and tackle harder. And then you have the centre back pairings of ball playing defenders. Dribble more and tackle harder are their two instructions. The defensive midfield position consists of two segundo volantes on support duty. Both segundo volantes have been asked to tackle harder. In attack, you have four inside forwards on attack duty and central, let's say, advanced forwards on attack duty as well. The inside forwards on attack have been asked to sit narrower and tackle harder. That sort of makes sense because there's a huge gap here that segundo volantes might eventually feel if they actually get forward. Mind you, they're on support duty, not attack, so they're going to get forward sparingly. But I know that the segundo volante is a very aggressive role, and with two inside forwards playing on attack duty and then being asked to sit narrower, they're going to somewhat occupy this half space in between there and also go on to help the strikers in attack. And then the advanced forwards on attack duty also have identical instructions in tackle harder, and they are responsible for getting the goals in the team. For the team instructions, we did mention that the mentality for this tactic has been set to balance, but then in possession the team has been asked to exploit the flanks expressively. So focus on play on both flanks and then overlap on either flank, left and right. They've also been selected. Passing to space instruction has also been selected. You can see a shorter passing directness with higher tempo and runner defense instruction. Also, low crosses have also been selected for this tactic. This is how the team is expected to operate when they're in possession of the ball trying to score goals. Now, when the team is in transition, they have been asked to counter press and to counter, while the goalkeeper has been instructed to roll the ball out and distribute it quickly as possible. When they're out of possession, then the team has been asked to play with a standard defensive line with a high line of engagement, turning on the high press. The preferential goalkeeper distribution instruction kind of complements this because I know that there are four players up front, and with the segundo volante still bombing into the attacking midfield role, it's also going to help to have numbers up there. Preferential goalkeeper distribution works, and then much more often trigger press with get stuck in instruction, forcing the team to try and push the opposition into making mistakes, forcing mistakes, try to win the ball back early and high up the pitch as well. Now for set pieces, there are corner and throwing routines attached to this tactic, and we're going to look at them really quickly. So going into the set piece corner routines, defensively, this is the way the corner is set up on the left hand side, on the right hand side for right defending corners. This is the way it's set up for left defending corners. So you can see the routine here saved as THL. And then in attack, he has the near post corner all set up for this particular tactic, and then cross to the near post with the defender and the other defender. So your two tall players lurking around that near post. See how you can see the corner for near post corners, and then you have the same near post corners on this right hand side. Going to the throwings, then we can see for throwing he has one short throw routine set up for the left hand side, and this is the way it's set up for the right hand side. That's how you can go about setting up the set pieces. Mind you, there might be others, but I can't really tell the indirect free kicks wide and deep, so I'm going to attach a link to this tactic so you can download the tactic for yourself and then apply the set pieces that have been attached to this tactic, and then you can go on to test it with your team and see how it works out for you. We're going to look at the team results now and how everybody went on to do with this tactic, because as you can see from a peek in here that Stade Malbec Cayenne currently are sitting in first place alongside AS Saint-Etienne. So both teams that we went on to test out this tactic with in this League 2 BKT went on to do so well. Cayenne and Saint-Etienne were tied in the top position with 87 points and 87 points together, and then goal difference, just a 3 goal difference between the two teams. And then looking at the team stats, then we can see that the most goals were scored by both teams with 97 goals each, so they had an identical season somewhat. Looking at the possession to see looking at Saint-Etienne, they did well possession wise. Cayenne actually managed to finish in 6th with 52% possession. Most points per game were by both teams as well, identical, 2.35 points per game. So both teams were all completely head to head, and at some point I had to figure out which game is coming next for these two guys. Maybe they're going to be playing one another. Looking at the schedule, Stade Malbec Cayenne has a game against Pau FC, and then they've already beaten Saint-Etienne. It's probably why they're first in the league and might eventually go on to win the league. Other French team in this test is the might of Paris Saint-Germain. They were knocked out in the semi-final by Liverpool. They won the French Cup, they won the Trophy de Champion, and then they won the league. They're always suspected to win the league, but let's just say it. Kylian Mbappe had 36 goals altogether. Neymar had 18 assists, and then they had a goal difference of 111. Looking at the amount of goals that they went on to score, first of all, points per game, they had 2.7 points per game, but they went on to score 144 goals in the league alone. Looking at the fewest shots against, PSG were right up there, most possession. PSG were not in the possession table, so the tactic didn't really rely on possession. Fewest conceded, PSG had 25 only. I don't know why I'm actually focused on PSG. They were expected to do well, but they're doing quite well. Looking at them, I know it's PSG and all, but 144 is a lot, and I've managed PSG before. I wasn't able to get 144 goals in the lead. So that's quite an outstanding figure if you ask me. And then looking at all the other teams, we're going to run into Mura to actually realize where they are. They are currently sitting in the Slovenian league, and they're sitting first, and they've lost only 2 times in the entire league, and they have already 88 points. Looking at the team stats, Mura were the highest with 87 goals, and then they had 2.44 goals per game. That's quite good. So the tactic, mind you, I don't think they're predicted to finish in first place. They're predicted to finish in second place, and they went on to topple Maribor. This is, of course, an updated version of Mura's prediction. If you look at your game as the game started, predicted to finish somewhere between 6th or 7th position in the league. To the Slovak team in Ružomberok, we can see just how well they did, swapping to their own career save, and then we can see that in the Slovak First Division, for some reason, now I'm confused, they got knocked out in the semi-finals by Dunat Streda, and then in the Europa Conference League, they actually went on to do quite well there. But looking at the most goals, Ružomberok had 79. It's interesting to see who actually went on to win the league here. We're going to figure that out very soon. Most shots, Ružomberok as well. Most dribbles, them of course. Most points per game, they were second with 2.03, and then Don Streda went on to have 2.53. To check who actually went on to win the league, we're going to go into the stages, European playoff places, and then look at the league table. And Ružomberok they finished in second place, just behind Don Streda, who went on to win the league eventually, and Ružomberok as well. I'm not actually predicted to finish in the top 3 or thereabouts, so they went on to overachieve with this tactic as well. I do like to think I've covered everyone, but if you're new to the channel, remember to hit the subscribe button so you can get notified when new Football Manager tactic testing videos do come out. We're going to get OP tactics for this channel. Southampton and Wigan. We're going to see how well they did. It turns out I forgot Southampton and Wigan were part of this save. And then, Athletic Bilbao and Villarreal as well. So Southampton, first of all, we'll see how well Southampton went on to do with this tactic. Looking at the league so far, they are in the European places. They actually qualified for the UEFA Europa Conference League. They lost 14 times in the league, but had a point of 60. So a mid-season somewhat. Most goals were Liverpool, and Southampton had the third best behind Liverpool and Manchester City. 76 goals, not a lot, but for Southampton, that's a lot of goals, I have to admit. So most points per game, Liverpool, Manchester City, Southampton were down there in 6th with 1.58. So technically, the tactics sort of respects the team and the league that you're playing at. The Premier League is obviously more difficult, but Southampton must somehow manage to finish in the top 10, in the top 6 really. They got knocked out by Athletic Bilbao in the Friendly Cup. That's not important. And then FA Cup, they got knocked out by Everton in the 4th round, and they made it to the semi-finals of the Carabao Cup, where they got knocked out by Liverpool. We're going to look at Wigan, the other English team in this particular test, and see how well they went on to do with this tactic. Middlesbrough, where they lost in the playoff. Oh, that's harsh. They lost in the championship playoffs, and for some reason, they actually did make it to the playoffs. They were predicted to finish dead last in the championship, as we mentioned before, but they made it all the way to 3rd place with this tactic. That's impressive. with another good run of games, they probably would have made it all the way to win the league. If probably with a hands-on approach as well, they'll probably go on to win the league at some point. But wow, third place. Looking at the team stats to see how well everyone did, Wigan had the highest amount of goals with 93. Norwich were way down with 81 goals. Wigan probably had 12 more goals than Norwich went on to score. Most points per game was Norwich and Watford, 2.0, 2.07 respectively. And then Wigan were down there with 1.73. So the tactic did go on well. It did work out well for Wigan as well. We're going to look at the other Spanish teams in this save, and Athletic Bilbao are the next team that we're going to look at to see how well they did with this tactic. Athletic Bilbao and Villarreal went on to finish second and third in the La Liga, and then Barcelona were down in fifth, but Real Madrid went on to win the league. And then looking at the highest scorers, most points of games was by Real Madrid, Villarreal and Athletic Bilbao. Madrid had 2.51 and then Villarreal 2.27, Athletic Bilbao 2.14. Most goals were by Real Madrid. Villarreal had 93 goals and then Athletic Bilbao went on to finish with 85 goals in the league. Athletic Bilbao did go on to win the Spanish Cup, and then if you look at how the Spanish Cup went on to finish, they met Real Betis or Hispales according to Football Manager in the Spanish Cup, but you can just browse to see just how far Villarreal went on to do. Athletic Bilbao went on to beat Villarreal in the semi-finals to get to the final and go on to win the competition eventually. So that's how well this tactic worked out for both teams. Both of them actually had a win-win situation, as well as Villarreal went on to finish in second place. Athletic Bilbao went on to win the cup. I'll be back with more Football Manager tactics like this, so to stay up to date to those tactic updates, remember to leave a like for this video and also to subscribe to the channel so you can get notified when new Football Manager overpowered tactics do come out here on the channel. I'll catch you guys in the next video.